Hey, my relatives. Good morning from New York City. This is Mark Charles. As you can see, I'm here in New York, the traditional lands of the Lenape. I want to honor the Lenape of the host people of these lands and thank them for their stewardship of it. I'm actually drinking a second cup of coffee right here. Actually, it's my third, but technically the first one didn't count. It was hotel coffee, and it was pretty nasty. Anyway, yeah, I'm here in New York City and came from the display at the museum. I wanted to see, there's some pieces here of the Lenape telling their own story of their beginning of their relationship with the Dutch and what was reported to be the trade of some trinkets for Manhattan. And it was a really good time to be in there. It was a really good time to see it. I think the general message from the Lenape is, this is our land, we've always been here, and who in their right mind would think we would trade an entire island for $60 worth of trinkets? You know, that makes no sense whatsoever. And it points out, as I say frequently in my presentations, that history is written by the victors. And so because this history is presented by the majority culture, it is this false narrative. It's this inaccurate narrative of what actually took place. And so basically I think the presentation, one of the things it said to me is, just rather than accepting what you're told in your history books and in legend, and just accepting that as fact, it basically said, stop and think just for a moment about what you're being told and realize how it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And then recognize and acknowledge who it is that's telling you the history. And obviously it's the majority culture, who has a lot to benefit from perpetuating the narrative that they purchased these lands from people and they got an incredible deal for it. So anyway, it was a very interesting time. This is really the first time of actually visiting the National Museum of the American Indian here in New York City. I've been to the one in DC numerous times. I very much enjoyed walking through the museum. My daughter and I spent a little over an hour in there to just see it. I hope to come back at some point and spend more time there. But yeah, I wanted to just share a few thoughts as I guess I'll have to call it my second and a half cup of coffee. But anyway, I hope this is good. Just some things to ponder. I'm going to be talking about this more. I came here because at the end of the month, end of March, I'm giving a presentation at the University of Michigan, and I'm talking about the history of the Dutch and their colonial roots. And I'm actually speaking at a lecture series for the Dutch Studies program at the University of Michigan. And so I came here to find out about more of the story from the Lenape's point of view, and I really appreciated them saying what they said here. So yeah, this is going to definitely be incorporated into some of my presentations and some of what I've been speaking about. Yeah, it's a cold day. It's really warm yesterday. It was almost 60 or 70 degrees in New York yesterday, but today it's down in the 30s. So my daughter and I were wondering why we brought such heavy jackets yesterday, and today we're very grateful that we did that. I see there's a lot of people on here with me: Patty Shield, Jordan Lott, Tam Marshall. I know others have been commenting already. New York is going well. We're only here we came in yesterday afternoon, we're leaving this afternoon. It was just a short trip. My daughter's on the February break in DC, and so we decided to come up just for a day to get out of town and see New York for a little bit. But yeah, this is good. I also just wanted to comment briefly, as I'm sure all of you have heard by now, Russia has invaded Ukraine, and our nation and many others are in the process of sanctioning Russia fairly severely. I want to just publicly state I stand with the people of Ukraine, and I condemn Vladimir Putin for these acts of war. And I hope that the West especially, and I said this earlier in one of my other second cups of coffee, where the challenge of us negotiating with Russia is not only do we have a myth of our own exceptionalism that gives us a right to act amorally, but Russia has a myth of their own exceptionalism which gives them a right to act amorally, and both to feel justified even in the eyes of God for doing unjust and immoral acts. And that must just be a crazy way to negotiate peace when both sides believe God is on their side, both sides believe they are justified in their actions and in their history, and neither side is able to acknowledge what's really going on. So anyway, it's a sobering day today, and I hope that you will join me in praying for peace and working for peace. So anyway, I hope everyone has a really good day. It's getting cold out here, so I'm going to take my cup of coffee and head inside, but walk in beauty, my relatives. And I hope that not only we here on Turtle Island, but we around the globe can learn how to walk in beauty together. Yeah, and hakona.